A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to TSN English class, class 12th. Today we'll be starting chapter, there's a poem. Poem name is Keeping Quiet from your book, Flamingo. And this poem, the poet of this poem is like Pablo Neruda. So let's read about the poet. Here is the picture of poet Pablo Neruda. So basically, what's his name? So, from July 1904 to September 1973. What is in what is in a name? So, the Chilean writer and politician Naftali Ricardo Reyes Basualto assumed the pen name Pablo Neruda and later made it his legal name. So here the writer whose name is Pablo. So basically he wrote here that his pen name adopted by Naftali Ricardo Reyes and Basalto, who was born in town of Paralin, Chile. And Neruda poem consists of easily understood images which add to their beauty. So he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1971. And in this poem, Neruda talks about the necessity of quiet introspection here, which can create a feeling of mutual understanding among humans. So here, Neruda assumed his pen name as a teenager, partly because it was in vogue, that partly to hide his poetry from his father, because he was a rigid man. So let's read about the poem here. So students, here is your poem written by Pablo Neruda. So let's read that poem. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still for once on the face of the earth. Let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So, here in the beginning of the lines of the poem, that before you read that, what do you infer from the title of the poem suggests to you that what do you think of the poem is dealing with here. So here the poem is dealing with what that counting up to 12 and keeping it still with the help us achieve peace and understanding of ourselves. We will learn to work together and we will not follow wars. So this is here in the chapter, and let's this is here in the poem, and let's read about the stanza. That now we are going to count to 12 in the first line. Now we will count to 12 means now we are going to count to 12 and we will all keep still. Here we will all keep still means everybody will stop working. So next one, for once on the face of earth, let's not speak in any language. So here the poet says that only for one single time on the face of earth we decided that not to use any language and stop for just 1 second without making any movement with our hands. There's no need of movement. So here poet suggests everybody to as still over there, and there's no need to move your hands at all. So it would be an exotic moment. Here I am reading, students. So it would be an exotic movement. It would be an exotic movement without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would talk at his hurt hands. Those who prepared green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in shade doing nothing. So here students, here the poet want to convey his thoughts like only for one single time of the face of the earth that we decided not to use any language and stop for just 1 second without making any movement with our hands. And then this will be a moment that there is no such rush, no engines, and we will all would be standing together suddenly. So he is talking about that how or he is requesting from the people in that poem, or he convey a message to the people of लाइक अर्थ लाइक कि किस तरह हमें जो पोएट है वो 12 तक गिनेगा एंड वी नीड टू लाइक काम एंड स्टैंड स्टिल ओवर देयर, एंड किस तरह कोई भी लैंग्वेज नहीं बोली जाएगी, किस तरह अपने हैंड्स को हिलाया नहीं जाएगा. एंड दिस इज अ स्ट्रेंजनेस ओवर देयर दैट इट वुड बी ऑल टुगेदर इन अ सडन स्ट्रेंजनेस. सब लोग जो है एक अजनबीपन से साथ खड़े रहेंगे. एंड एट द सेम टाइम फिशरमैन इन द कोल्ड सी वुड नॉट हार्म वेल्स. फिशरमैन जो हैं वो वेल मछलियों को कोई हार्म नहीं पहुंचाएंगे. एंड दोज मैन हु आर गैदरिंग सॉल्ट फ्रॉम द सी, जो नमक निकालने वाला जो प्रोसेस है, दोज पीपल हु आर एंगेज इन दैट प्रोसेस वुड लुक एट हिज हर्ट हैंड्स. और जो वॉर्स में लड़ने वाले लोग हैं वो भी जीवित नहीं बचते, वो भी रुक जाएंगे उस वक्त. सो वुड लुक एट हिज हर्ट हैंड दोज प्रिपेयर ग्रीन वॉर्स विद गैस, वॉर्स विद फायर, विक्ट्री विद नो सर्वाइवर्स. सो ऐसे लोगों को भी रुक जाना चाहिए. सो इन दिस पोएम आई थिंक द पोएट advocates the total inactivity and death, and he only wants us to spare some moments to understand ourselves. So that is the basic idea of the poem, that there is no inactivity, there is death all over, and he wants all of us to spare some moments to understand the beauty, to understand that what we are. So he wants things to stop for a moment and work in a manner that causes no death here. So that poet is talking about here. So let's read that fishermen who are in the cold sea would not stop hunting whales. So those fishermen, there's no need to hunt those whales here. So he's requesting, or he's like conveying his thoughts that stop hunting whales. The man who is collecting salt will be able to see his wounded hands, because जब जो लोग समुद्र से जो नमक इकट्ठा करने वाला जो प्रोसेस है उसमें जो लोग एंगेज होते हैं उनके हैंड्स जो हैं वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा ख़राब हो जाता है. तो ही इज़ टॉकिंग अबाउट देम पीपल हु हार्म एनवायरमेंट एंड यूज गैस एंड फायर इन वॉर दैट लीव्स नो सर्वाइवर्स. एंड इन द लास्ट not last year, in this stanza here, that poet tried to convey that people who prepare green wars with gas, with fire. So here he wants to convey that people who harm environment and use gas and fire in wars that leaves no survivors, they will clear clean clothes and will walk side by side with people they fight doing nothing here. So in shade, that means by side the people they fight doing nothing here. And here the poet is talking about that we have to after counting 12 we have to still there and only spare some moments to understand ourselves. So let's read this one, students, from here. That when I want should not be confused. When I want should not be. So here is the poem. If we were not single-minded about keeping ourselves lives moving, if we are not so single-minded. So here if we are not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt his sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So here, students, in this poem here, the poet tries to convey his thoughts, that what a person wants to do here, or what everybody is like that he wants spare moments for themselves. So he is trying to convey all these things here. So let's read this stanza, this one. Like, if I were not single minded. So here he wants to convey that my word should not be understood. So if I were not single minded about keeping our lives moving, so my word should not be understood, and that I am asking for total inactivity. Because here he is conveying his thought to the people that there's no activeness in your, and you have to be like inactive over there, and I mean to save life, which is sole aim of my words. And he said that his only main aim, the sole aim of poet is like he only wants to save the life, and I want that truck should not cause any death. So here he wants to convey another thought that truck should not that truck, I want that truck should not cause any death. That due to any of the reason, there will be no reasons for the death. So he conveys his thought like that total inactivity and work in a manner that causes. He wants things to stop for a moment and work in a manner that causes no death. So truck death here means ऐसे manner में हमें work करना है so that यहाँ पर कोई death ना हो. If we don't think only about our lives, that it should always be moving, and for once we become total inactive, maybe this silence will be able to shake our sadness of not understanding ourselves and alive, always live in the fear of death. So here he wants to convey the sadness. So here the sadness what poet refers in the poem is like the poet refers of understanding of like ourselves and death with sadness in the poem. So वो हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग हमारी डेथ को यहाँ सैडनेस से कन्वे कर रहा है पोएट. सो ही वॉन्ट्स टू कन्वे दैट maybe we can learn from the earth that when everything seems dead, it may later prove to be alive. So poet यहाँ कन्वे करना चाह रहा है now I am going to count up to 12 and you will become silent and I will leave. तो मैं 12 तक गिनूंगा, तब तक आप सभी को क्या क्या करना है कि यहाँ चुप रहना है, साइलेंट रहना है. और क्या पता जिस तरह जो अर्थ है से हम देखकर सीख सकते हैं दैट वी कैन लर्न फ्रॉम द अर्थ कि किस तरह प्रत्येक जो मरी हुई चीज़ है उसे वो सजीव या जो चीज़ें हैं विच आर लाइक डेड इट मे लेटर प्रूव टू बी अलाइव. तो कैसे वो हो सकता है, ये सब चीज़ें इस पोएम में पोएट ने एक्सप्लेन करी हैं. सो हियर द पोएट इन्वोक्स the symbol of earth to say that there can be life under apparent stillness, as everything dead later proves to be alive here, students. So basically I would like to share some meaning with you that exotic is rare, next one is rush is hurry, survivors means remaining alive, and next one is interrupt is halt, like dakhal dena. So these are your meanings from your book which are like, and I have already told you the meaning of sadness here, that poet refer the understanding of ourselves death with sadness in the poem. And here I have some more pictures for you, that and we still all keep still for once on the face of the earth. So here are your poem is end over here, students. Till then, take care of yourselves, and I will send you the PDF of this poem. Thank you all.